there's a method that you put in this whole madness. So you call it the Rockstar Performance Method. Can we break it down for our listeners? Of course, like you said, without sharing the secret sauce.
Yeah, I mean, this is something I've shared with lots of people before I ever wrote a book. Part of it really is around this idea that there's a relatively simple system that if you do each one of those phases of the system in order consistently, you can achieve better results. So the Rockstar Performance Method is a 6-step system. That's really all it is. It starts with really understanding and analyzing the data, and you take that data. We all have metrics of some sort, or goals, metrics, KPIs, you call it whatever you want. We all have something, some numbers, some data points, some goals we're trying to achieve. It could be anything from weight loss to sales performance, right? Like, I mean, it's personal goals or professional. But the idea is I understand the data extremely well as what they are, what's achievable, so I can analyze this data, and I also understand exactly like where it should be or where I think it should be and where it is now, so I can quickly hone in on the gap. So that's sort of the data analysis. That translates then into the individual. So this is where it goes from personal to a team. Now I'm looking at the individuals who are having the greatest effect on the data, meaning they're performing extremely well, they're pulling up the performance, or maybe they're performing at a lower level and they're pulling the performance down. But I'm taking that analysis to step 2, and I'm not looking at the data anymore. I'm looking at the people. From there, once you've identified the people that are positively or negatively impacting the result, now you're starting to look at, well, what are the specific things they're doing that are influencing their performance? So it's like, it's kind of zoom out view. We've zoomed in a little bit now. Now we've identified people. Now we're identifying behaviors. This is probably the key. This is the magic to the whole thing. And I won't dive too deeply into how you figure all that out. We'll save that for the book. But the idea is I don't just need to know who's performing poorly. I need to know what they're doing that's impacting their performance, or who's performing very well and what they're doing. And that behavioral assessment is the key to the step 4, which is when you really get into coaching. And so now I've transitioned from analysis, which is steps 1, 2, and 3, and now I'm having coaching sessions. I'm taking all of my observations and insights, and now I'm working on with the individual to start to figure out what's going on. And it starts with the root cause analysis.
Yeah.
And so that's really understanding the why. Why are these behaviors evident, or why are they missing, or why do we do what we do? And that's the first part of that coaching session, that coaching interaction, so that then we can turn into step 5, which is we can start to figure out what's the action step. So then the 5th phase of this is creating an action plan. And then step 6 is really quite simple. It's the measurement. Did they do the action plan, first and foremost? And if they did, what was the effect? If they didn't, then you go back and you got to go back and dig deeper into the root cause, because they're not willing to change. They're not willing to try. But if they did, you can start to measure, did that action have the desired effect? And if it didn't, you go right back into the cycle. And it's one of those phases in that order over and over and over and over and over again. And it sounds maybe a little boring, maybe a little routine, but it really is super efficient. That's the trick behind the whole thing, is that when you do all of those steps, you don't skip them. You don't run into a lot of assumptions. You're not running into wasted time and energy. You're not looking at the wrong people. You're looking at the right metrics, the right people, the right behaviors, so that you can have an effective coaching session, so that you can create action plans that actually move the needle. And that's really the Rockstar Performance Method, sort of in a nutshell.